into it. Mic's going so. Alrighty. So like I tell this to everybody who comes on. I guess it's a platform now or a channel, but who come on my channel and allow me to interview them. I don't do like intros like, hey, this is RJ, da 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 da, welcome to the channel. I come in, I do a sit down. So with that being said, like with everybody else, first off, thank you for giving me this opportunity. You can look at me the whole time for this conversation, look at the camera, whatever makes you comfortable. But thank you for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming to my platform and allowing me to put your voice out there, especially with the area we're in. It's really, really small, but we got some phenomenal people in this area. So with that being said, please introduce yourself, and I'll go from there with the questions and all that other good jazz.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Cole Resignano, owner of Primal Instinct Coaching and the personal training business for powerlifting primarily. I'm an ex-military soft veteran, Purple Heart, everything through and through, years of training prior to getting into my NASM and everything for powerlifting through the military for injuries and stuff like that, kind of like coining myself and understanding how to train military people to be strong. That's kind of it.
Got you. So how long have you been, before we get into the powerlifting aspect, how long have you been doing fitness, like the gym? Like what got you into fitness?
Fitness was forced in primarily through the military.
Okay.
So I had zero background
Okay.
prior to the military. Military, I enlisted in 2015. As soon as I got in, I was forced into it, and I didn't take my own personal interest in it until about 2018, 2019. So about 5 years total. That's it.
Got you. So out of bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, Olympic, why powerlifting?
So powerlifting primarily just was because is what I was good at. I didn't really have a huge space of training ability. When I was in soft, you have to run a lot, obviously. So as soon as I directed myself out of that environment, I was like, well, I'm too short to be super aesthetic, so I'm gonna waive that. And I was decently strong at the time, get decent leverages. And I had an interest in the progressive growth that is powerlifting versus bodybuilding. To me is more of a pageant show. You know what I mean? It's a lot of political stuff. Granted,
I do agree. With
powerlifting gets political, but it's a lot less. It's a lot of just what you have and what you do on a platform shows off. The numbers matter. Numbers talk. Nothing else does. So super easy.
I fucks with it. Did you have any influences, whether it was people in the military or a fitness influencer, like Instagram, YouTube? Did you have somebody that you saw and you was like, hey, I could do that, or you just saw the concept of powerlifting and you just got into that realm?
Yeah, I pretty much saw the concept. At the time when I was getting into fitness, I was following every aspect of it. You know, from you got your John Hack all the way to C-Bum at the time to the original Arnold stuff. I mean, I kind of dove headfirst into all of it entirely, even Rich Froning with CrossFit and stuff like that, kind of learning everything. And then it just trickled into leaning towards, I keep seeing, you know, someone like John Hack was probably my biggest inspiration at first. And then you look into like Chad Penson or I think he's his powerlifting pilot on Instagram. I forget your actual name. Was another Ranger dude who's a huge powerlifter as well. So that kind of got me into it.
So if you don't, I'd like to go to your first comp and everything. So what was it like? So I ask everybody this, whether they're a bodybuilder, powerlifter, strongman, your very first time getting on the platform, like what was that like for you? Like feelings like, did you get anxious? Were you scared? Like when you got on the platform, you was like, fuck. Like as soon as you stepped under that bar, did you go, oh, it's go time, or I don't want to do, like when you pop the cherry as a powerlifter, like let's get into that.
So mine was convoluted. So my first powerlifting comp was, I was supposed to be an athlete with another, 13 other athletes on the same team. And my coach at the time just quit. So I picked up the mantle of coach for the other 13 athletes that day. So for me, my first powerlifting experience, my very first experience.
So you were getting on the platform and mentoring 13 other people.
Yes, and a lot of the people, I had a lot of help, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I was just alone out there. But I was so focused on everyone else that it made it super simple for me. Like I was just like, all right, it's my time to go. Got on the platform, did my thing, moved on, that was it. And then looking back on that experience, I realized how almost much easier it made it because the nerves were gone. I was more nervous about everybody else than myself, so it took so much pressure off what I was doing to myself that now the last couple times I have competed alone, I almost miss competing alongside people to alleviate that mental pressure, if that makes sense.
So what were your numbers, you know, your squat, your first comp?
Yeah.
We're going to get into the veteran shit later on because I know you got some good ass numbers. But your first comp, what were your numbers between your squat, your bench, and your deadlift?
Oh, here, well, this is where it gets embarrassing. My first squat was 611.
That's an embarrassing number?
Because the growth has been not great, that's why.
Oh, okay.
611 in reps was my first squat, was my third attempt at that meet. 412 bench, and then I believe it was a 606 or a 611 pull. I'm not exactly sure, one of the two. That was my first meet in 2021, I believe it was. 2020 is a 365 Federation powerlifting meet.
Was that the one I went to when I brought
It was
Kelly food, or was
in Carthage
I think that's the first.
at the original Wango's gym.
It was relatively small, right?
Very small, just a little tube long
That
gym.
was your first comp?
That was my first competition.
Ain't no fucking way. The way y'all boys performed, y'all
my
bet.
first comp.
Hey, say less. All right, so with that being said, so what is your favorite lift at a? I don't know who I'm confusing you for. I thought you. Well, either way, but anyway, yeah. I apologize. But
No.
so what's your favorite lift out of your squat, your bench, and your deadlift? Like, what's your favorite lift?
So I'm known for bench. My favorite lift is squat. It always has been. To me, it's like it's always been the best feeling, if that makes sense. But I would say like my best lift and what I'm more known of is definitely for my bench.
Got you. I'm actually kind of curious. So what are your vet? Well, how many comps have you done?
This Ghost upcoming in April will be my 5th meet total, and out of those 5, 2 of them were, and this is where it can get a little political, lower end beginner federations. I believe in like USAPL, USPA, and WRPF being the top end of the federations, where the judging is the most true to what powerlifting standards are, and there's some other federations that are a little bit looser with it. So counting like those meets, 5 total. So that was 4 prior to this.
So
Relatively new beginner powerlifting when it comes to competing myself, honestly.
I don't know, man. The numbers you put up, but hey, teach his own. Got you. So which one were your best numbers? Like the 4 that you've done, like which ones where you got the most total?
Was the WRPF NC state champ in May. That was the one that was about a year ago.
And what numbers did you hit on those?
That was 633 squat, but it was raw, not in wraps. So that's a decent jump there. It was a 463 bench, which is the NC state record. And then it was like a 622 pull or something like that. 622 pull at 198.
Got you. So your team, Primal Instinct. So how did you come up with the name, out of curiosity?
Dude, it was trial and error. We had just, when I had assumed that position, that coach, from my previous coach, I ended up taking the mantle of that entire team. And we were kind of just tossed in a fire. I think I had about 30 total clients at the time that I had just assumed. And within like that 2 months, I had to make a name. And we kind of just, me and Jared, my co-owner, just spitballed it with my wife, and we just kept firing out into the distance till we finally found one that I felt stuck and also didn't, there wasn't, it's probably one thing that isn't just the coaching. I'm trying to develop a brand at some point as well, a gym, hopefully one day in the future, and something that kind of can umbrella all of it and not have to have like multiple separations. So that's all it was.
So the team, so what's it like coaching and managing that team? Like, so how about this? What is your expectation for the people you do coach? Like when they come to you and they be like, hey, I want to be a powerlifter and these are the numbers I want to hit. Like, what is that like? If that overall question even makes sense.
It does, yeah. So it's so dependent on the people, because that's the nice and bad thing about our community is we have a huge influx of people constantly rotating, right? And most of my clients are all not necessarily in person, but they come from Fayetteville. So a handful of online, it's a little bit different. Online people that come to me are a little bit different situation, but most of the people who just know of us or whatever from the area and come in, it's convoluted because you get people that are just interested into it, especially with the influx that powerlifting is right now, right? It's kind of I don't want to say a fad, but it's not. It used to be a cult like 10 years ago in the 80s and 90s. And now you have a huge influx of people. So I get a lot of people that, what I expect is dedication and patience, because coaching takes time. You got to break someone down. You got to find everything wrong with them. You got to fix little things. A lot of people jump in and they're like, hey, I want to add 300 pounds to my total in 2 months. And I'm like, okay, that's probably not going to happen. And I lose a lot of people within that first, 3 to 4 month window that have
Because
expectations.
of the honesty of that,
They have expectations and they're not realistic. And that's where I always say, I'm like, just be realistic and be honest with yourself. Because if you can't be that, then I can't coach you properly. And you can't be meldable to, develop yourself in that pattern.
In the powerlifting realm, what are some of the things you hate about the politics of powerlifting?
Can of worms, but nowadays it's the influx of what social media has done for it. Because without social media, powerlifting would be dying still. You wouldn't be able to offer these $40,000 cash prize meets. You wouldn't be able to make a living realistically off it without social media. However, that's also becoming almost where it's like switching over to that bodybuilding aspect of like clout means more than certain things. Even going into this this meet that I was, which is a pro meet, pro is also swayed by how your followers are. If you have a certain influx of people behind you, you're going to get these invites versus people that don't have them. You know, there's a handful of people in the powerlifting world that have had crazy totals, world-class totals, and they got like less than 2,000 followers and nobody knows who the fuck they are. And then you got these dudes that are in the mid-range, good, obviously, pro level, but they're not nearly as good as some of these hidden dudes that, you know, they get all the attention. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where the politics are getting changed to, and a lot of like just all that stuff involved.
So I want to make sure I assess that right. So you basically have to be popular. So is it not one thing to be popular in the powerlifting community versus popular on social media?
Yes. So if you're not great, if you're not one of the top 10 in the world at the moment, you
don't matter.
You better have a social media following. If you are one of the top 10, you still better have a social media following. You know, you look at someone like John Hack, as of right now, the best powerlifter in the world, the best ever, other than maybe Ed Cohen, right? He's only got like 50,000, 60,000 followers at the moment. And you got someone like, I believe his current name is Tyson, whatever, that kid that pulls a K, Sumo, got like 300,000. He's got way more sponsorship money, way more everything money, and he's not even close to the caliber.
So you mean to tell me, let's say I went to like different states or whatever, like compete here in North Carolina, compete here in South Carolina, compete in New York, wherever there's a powerlifting meet, if I don't have a high follow base, it doesn't matter what I performed on those platforms.
Yeah, yes and no. When it comes to like the large following, no. I mean, nobody's gonna know who you are. There's plenty of dudes that'll go to some local meets and they're crazy. They have crazy numbers and they don't get out there. And if they don't get out there, then if you're trying to make a living out of it, I mean, a lot of people, it's just a hobby. What it really is, we're just moving a stick with circles. So it is a hobby at the end of the day when it comes to that. But you can make a living off of it. And you got a lot of people that could, and if they don't have a social media following or some sort of like background in that, it's very difficult to make it. And a lot of people, like if you look at upcoming meets, right? It's the easiest way to find out your competition is they'll tag, you know, their Instagrams on the meet rosters, because you're allowed to do that now. And you get a lot of dudes that just have no social media, and then they're going to go out and blow the whole platform away, and no one's going to know who this person is, and they'll probably disappear back into their little garage gym and never talk again.
A lot of people will still be at all with them that saw their performance that day. But
correct.
Say less. So another thing. So I'm still learning it because that's why I go to the meets that you've seen me at. But not the point system, but like I'm gonna call it a grading system. The three red dots or anything. So
the white lights. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you agree with it? Like I've seen some lifts, like the last one I was at, well here obviously, but like some of them between the pulls and the squats and the bench, it's kind of like, all right, how did he get 2 whites and 1 red? Like that looked like a perfect lift to me. Like, do you agree with the judging when it comes to powerlifting or
politics? Just like we were just talking about, that's another piece of that. You'll see a lot of people who have following can get swayed. There's a huge, absolutely.
No.
Great examples. 2 great examples. Gavin Aiden's most recent performance at the Sheffield, there was a slam deadlift attempt for his last deadlift. Can't do that. Russ Swole years ago, I think it was the 2021, 2022 Nationals, whatever it was, 3rd attempt deadlift, same thing, threw it into the ground, but because of their name, white lights. So do I agree with it? If there was a robot judging, abso-fucking-lutely, because it would be a gradient system, you know, hip crease below the knee, boom, white or not, that's it, you know what I mean? But absolutely, there can be politics to it. So do I agree? Yeah, you have to have a standard. You know what I mean? We have to have a standard, or else there's no rules to it. That's where the whole federational bullshit comes in. But coaching is biased. Everyone's people. Not coaching. Judging is biased. There's 3 people sitting in these chairs, not anybody else. You know what I mean? They're human beings, so they're going to make mistakes. They're going to have favoritism. Not a single one human being in the planet's going to say, well, I don't have a little bit of favoritism as a judge. Everybody's going to have a little bit of bias, or their interpretation of the rules can be different. So, do I agree that we have to have them? Absolutely, or else there'd just be no fucking standard out there. Do I agree how it works? I mean, I wish it would be better. It's not. I mean, I've had my fair share of lifts that shouldn't count. My most recent meet, I had a 660 deadlift that was all 3 white lights, and I would have never, as a judge, I would never give myself that lift at all, not even in a million years. But it was still counted, and it's on my open powerlifting for everyone else to see that I have a 660 pull, and I really don't.
I got you. Well, at least you hold yourself accountable, because a lot of people just would have been like, all right, I'm gonna take that. So how about this? Who's, as far as clientele, who's easier to train between your male clientele and your female clientele? Or how about yeah, who's easier to train?
Females are 100 times easier.
Really?
100 times easier. Oh, absolutely.
Why? Is because
So-
us men and the whole testosterone thing and
I can't. The amount of names I could call out for that.
yeah.
So females, tested females are the easiest. Tested girls that aren't on sauce, right? Easiest. As long as you're willing to deal with hormone cycles of a month, super easy. Their progression is easy. They usually, to my current, and I've had over the last 3 years of coaching, 2 years of coaching, I've had about probably 200 total clients, maybe 160 total clients, like 50 currently active, and then a lot of people that have come and gone over the years. Out of that, my tested females have been the easiest. Then it comes to tested males, and then you got untested males, and then my worst is untested females.
Okay.
But I don't have any of them anymore. I've had a couple, and they are sometimes can be absolutely brutal. Yes, 100%. But yeah, it comes to the honesty of it. You know, you got a lot of people who will lie about the numbers. I mean, lying about RPE, whatever, that happens all the time as long as you can judge it. But lying about what they're going to do, skipping accessories, doing all that, complaining about lackadaisicalness in your programming when you're not even doing anything, and then you don't see your progression, and then you blame your coach.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that gets
That
yeah.
is annoying. That is one of the worst things.
So with that being said, what is your goals for your team for the name Primal Instinct, and so what is your goals for your brand at the end of the day?
So brand goal, it'd be something. I'm trying to think of there's a couple brands that I'm blanking on right now that are that size. I'm not trying to be the next Gymshark ever. That's ridiculous to me. I would never have that capacity. Just relatively for team, because teams are kind of new in powerlifting. Like now in like USPA, you can put your team in. That wasn't a thing like years ago. Now you actually have teams that are being tracked like point system wise and stuff like that. So team wise, I'd love to hold a national title of some kind, especially now that it's becoming. I think it's going to become an up and coming. You know, I kind of saw that developing, so I want to be at the top of that game. Coaching brand wise, you know, lead the way in the systems like Trevor Drafe, my coach, and then Seth Albinsworth, the people that are really good at recovery training. You know what I mean? There's a lot of coaches that can take a guy who's got great genes, who's got a job that is not difficult in any capacity, has had no fucking injuries, and then take him and become a national champ. It doesn't take that much. I'd rather be known to fix people and unfuck people who have had bad coaches or whatever in the past, and develop something that they're proud of with the body they're given, if that makes sense.
It does. Here's a question, and it was when I was live earlier, believe it or not. I had asked one of basically my following, like, hey, what are some questionnaires that I could ask, whether you're a powerlifter, bodybuilder, or strongman? But somebody asked a very interesting question. Do you feel like there's, maybe you'll understand it better. I think I got it, but do you think there's gatekeeping in the powerlifting community? And I think the reason why I kind of understood the question is kind of like, you have some people that have great advice, but depending on who they're in the community, depending on who they're going against, they, like, okay, like prime example, do you feel like I'm gatekeeping if I were to see somebody like doing something that's clearly a hindrance to them, like detrimental that would keep them from lifting? Like, is it like that in the powerlifting community as far as gatekeeping? Like, watch, because I see it as a community, a positive one.
Yeah.
So do you feel like there's gatekeeping in the powerlifting community?
When it comes to a lot of competitional standards, I feel that's more of a thing. Like people who don't squat to depth, for example, something like that, stupid shit like that. When it comes to just overall help, I feel like that's the one nice thing that powerlifting has is like everyone's usually there for one. You go to a meet, everyone's there for one another. No, you don't got any negative energy in that sense. So when it comes to the gatekeeping of like, I don't know, maybe certain knowledges or something like that, I think it's becoming less apparent. It used to be, I think, a really big thing. Like a Westside, you take Westside, for example, Westside Barbell, like if you didn't train at Westside or you didn't get coached by Westside, the whole idea of conjugate was fucking aloof to you. Like that was not a thing. Nowadays, you can read the whole conjugate book. You know what I mean? It's all public. So I think it's becoming less that way. But I definitely think there's still a handful of things that are getting gate capped when it comes to like how to perform certain ways, or you know, or even you get into the nitty gritty of like the anabolics and stuff like that, like some whatever we'll touch in that realm of things, 100%. But I do think it is changing for itself. It is becoming more and more apparent, universal. You know what you can do.
I'm gonna bring up the questionnaire in a second because this will be like a rapid fire. So one last question, and I'll go to a questionnaire, and then we'll complete it, and then, but this is mainly for me because I do plan on getting in a platform in April if Worlds does decide to have that meet. So not just for me, but anybody, their very first time, what advice would you give to us? And what I mean by us, somebody they feel like they're overwhelmed, they're worried about the numbers that they're gonna perform, the jitters or whatever for your first time. Or what advice would you give to me or anyone that's about to get on that platform?
Open comfortable,
Okay.
open lower than you want,
Okay.
super low, to the point where you should blow it up. That first squat should be 75% of your max speed, so that way your confidence is there. Because as soon as you're done with that first squat, I promise you, and it goes right, all of those jitters are going to start melting away.
Okay.
After that, the only other thing I would give you is just trust your plan. If you don't have a coach, get a coach. Trust the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a coach, just go with numbers that you can go 9 for 9 and have a good day. You don't need to push yourself to the absolute max and kill yourself and then fail the deadlifts. You don't want to overdo bench or squat and then fail deadlifts. Just have fun. And I know that's like the most generic, cliche answer of have fun, but don't put so much pressure on it, because if you're a first-time competitor, no matter who you are, you're probably not going for a national title.
I know.
You're not going for a state record.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are, I mean, Godspeed at that point. You got the genes of a whoever you may be, but
So for me, I'll just give you this little tidbit. The reason why I want to do it, I don't plan on doing what I see the influencers and the monsters I'm around and that I see. But I want to be able to say that I am a powerlifter.
Correct.
That's why I want to get on the platform.
I agree
I don't plan
100%.
I don't plan on doing nothing phenomenal. I promise you.
I think that's a great thing. I think anybody who just bench squats and deadlifts every day, every week, and who's never stepped on a platform, you're not a powerlifter.
Yes.
Until you have signed up for a meet, gone to that meet, you are trying to be one. But until you're on open powerlifting in some capacity, you're not a powerlifter. It's like the same guy who, you can be in ROTC or whatever in high school your whole life, and if you never enlisted, bro, you weren't in the Army. I don't care if you want to fight the drill sergeant or not. Like, you weren't. So
I got you.
get on the platform, establish it, do it for yourself, walk away.
You must have had flashbacks because that's a topic Anyway, yeah. No, let me stop. All right, so it's a kind of like it's a simple ass rapid fire. I'm gonna set the clock for 1 minute. I'm gonna ask you 10 questions. You just got literally 60 seconds to answer them. Cool? All right, bet, say less. So, 60 seconds. Go to the questionnaires. Where we at? Come on. All right, and the time starts now. All right. Rest day or cheat meal?
Rest day.
Conventional deadlift or sumo?
Conventional.
And duh. Now let me stop. Energy drink or coffee?
Energy drink.
Cardio or sauna?
Sauna.
Bulgarian split squats or hip thrusts?
Bulgarians.
All right. Bodybuilding or strongman?
Strongman.
Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Yeah, I understand, bro. Hey, man. Rock and roll or hip hop?
Rock and roll.
Okay. 1 rep max or repetition?
1 rep max.
Fitness models or muscle mommies?
I'm married.
Hey, good answer. All right, good answer. I'll take it. Anyway, that's all the questionnaires I have on some real shit. I do want to bring you back toward, if it's feasible or doable, towards the middle of summer or towards the end. Especially your comp will be after. I think your comp will be done, so there'll be more things we can talk about.
Absolutely.
My comp will be done, and then I can, talk to you about just aspects and what I learned from it, and then you can give us some more knowledge, some more mentorship. But Cole, on some real shit, I really appreciate it. I was scared asking you at first because I'm scared to ask everybody to do these interviews,
No,
man.
don't ever be.
Yeah, I got you. But anyway, I appreciate you. Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. We out.